Ladies, gentlemen, everybody that's tuned in and listening right now, we want to say thank you for joining us once again here on this presentation as EJP Entertainment presents to you the Artist in the Spotlight segment here on the show. And then for those of y'all out there who is listening right now, you know this is the moment of our show where we are joined by our special guest. But first and foremost, if you haven't done so yet, be sure to follow us on IG at EJP_entertainment to stay up to date with everything related to EJP Entertainment. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a good one in store for y'all here today. If I must say so myself, it is definitely an honor, a privilege, and I'm just happy to have this next guest here joining us on the show. So ladies and gentlemen, if you will help me, please welcome to the show, the one and only Lynn Davis. Miss Davis, how is everything? How are you? Welcome to the show.
I'm so happy to be a part of this show. Thank you for inviting me. Hi, everyone. I'm really pleased to be here. Thank you.
You're absolutely welcome, and thank you. We are pleased to have you as well. And like I said, it is our honor to have someone with so much musical experience and so many great stories I know that you have. So it is our honor to have you here and welcome you here to our show. And with that being said, you know, at the beginning, we like to give the guests the opportunity to introduce themselves, you know, tell themselves a little bit, you know, to the audience that's listening right now. So if you would, the floor is all yours.
Well, my name is Lynn Davis, and I've been in the business for many years. I had the pleasure of coming into the business. My mentor, George Duke, then went on to work with quite a few people on the road and in the studio. And I'm currently working on my album and just released one of the first singles, Can I Come Over? From Lynn Davis from the Vault.
Now, with that being said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Did I cut you off?
No, you didn't.
Okay,
No.
cool. All right, so with that being said, you know, George Duke, the legendary George Duke, for all of y'all out there who grew up listening to good music back in that time, you was a member of the George Duke band. You had the chance to work with, you know, some of the iconic, you know, musicians of our time, you know, in Marvin Gaye, Chaka Khan, Stevie Wonder, and you also wrote for LaToya Jackson as well. So, like, first things first, I know a lot of people out there that's listening right now, they're interested to hear a lot of those stories because I'm sure they're listening like, oh my gosh, you work with so many different people that are so well known throughout the industry, and you're here on this show. So let's first start by asking you, like, how did you get introduced into this, you know, this lifestyle of wanting to be a singer and a performer?
I've always wanted to sing. Honestly, upon entering into the business, I don't really think that I ever said to myself, oh, I want to be a session singer or a recording artist. I just knew that I wanted to sing, you know. And as I prepared myself throughout my life, you know, doing talent shows and in school and going to auditions, I got a phone call. I came home, my mom said, you have an audition with someone called George Duke. And I was like, oh my God. He had a song out called Shirley, and it was like the bomb. I love that song. So I called my best friend and we went to the auditioning, and really just everything organically happens from there. Once people hear your work and your name starts circulating, like I never had a manager or anything, so my gift really made room for me, you know. And I started working with Patrice, and I then started getting called for a lot of different studio background scene jobs, and then being asked to go on tour, you know, with Stevie, Marvin, Yanni, you know, it just progresses, you know, on its own.
Now, you know, there's one thing that wasn't included, but one thing, you know, I went back and I looked up, and I seen, you know, back when you was in high school, you was a member of the group Shades of Love that happened to win the Hollywood Bowl competition as a member of that group, and you was the first vocal act to ever win that competition. So did you get that, you know, that audition with George Duke based off of that or that talent show?
No, actually, that happened way before. Elaine Norwood, one of my best friends, and I, we always sang together. My dad said, "Oh, you guys should do a duet." So we got together with Larry Farrell, who did like the arrangement for us at the Hollywood Bowl, and the Battle of the Bands. And that's exactly what it usually was, a battle of the bands. And it was like the first time in their history that a vocal group won the prize, the grand prize of that night. And when I think about it and how everybody started running down from the top, down to the stage, that was such a pivotal point of just my imagination going wild about, oh my goodness, this is no longer a possibility. This can be a reality. And I think a couple of years later is when I got the call from George, and I really think the call from George came from my keyboard player at the time. We used to always go around and just do any and all auditioning that we knew of for plays, for going out on the road with people. And, you got to think I was about, 16 years old then. And after I got the auditioning with George, I was in the studio working with him with Raul de Souza. We were working on his album, and he heard me talking, and he heard me mention my age, and he said, "Girl, you're too young to go on a club tour with me right now." So he called a year and a half later, and that's when everything began.
Now, at the age of 17, you was also, the lead singer on one of the biggest records from the George Duke Band called "I Want You for Myself," and also including other, hit songs such as "Party Down" and "Thief of the Night." So to be a part of that experience, how did that feel for you at such a young age, being around so many iconic people within the music industry at that time and being a part of some of the biggest records that came out in that era?
It was a dream come true, and I was really humble and very quiet in those days. I knew that I was in a position, that God put me in to learn, observe, and that's what I did. And I learned from, the great musicians in Dugu, Ricky Lawson, Byron Miller, Josie James. They had been in the business for a few years before me, so I was the newcomer, and I watched and I learned, and I used to ask George, "When am I going to get to sing a song?" He said, "Just be patient, just be patient." He knew that I needed to, just watch and grow, and it was the perfect environment for it.
I can only imagine just being around so many talented individuals.
Amazing. It really, really was amazing. Yeah.
Now, not only, we mentioned the fact that you was able to work with George Duke and be a member of the George Duke Band and also be featured on some of the, biggest hits of that time. We also mentioned that you've had the chance to work with the likes of Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, and Shaka Khan. Even had the chance to, while you was on tour with Stevie Wonder, be able to, sing a few duets with them. Now, how did that make you feel as a young up-and-coming singer in the music industry at that time?
Oh my gosh. I had no idea when I was on the plane going to London that I was going to sing a duet with Stevie. He was at Marvin Gaye's memorial service, and he asked me about going on tour with him. And a few weeks later, he called. I got on the plane. I go straight to sound check, and I find out he wants me to sing this duet with him. So I was, to say the least, I was honored, and it was wonderful every night actually being able to sing with Stevie Wonder, whom I, as a young girl, always listened and emulated. His voice and his music is so part of who I am and my style of writing and singing. It was just incredible. Every time I think about it, he was such a wonderful person as well, He sent voice lessons, and Stevie was very nurturing and encouraging and just wonderful.
To this day, are you still in contact with Mr. Wonder, or is that, you guys, speak like, occasionally?
We just speak occasionally, and I saw him the last time, unfortunately, at James Ingram's memorial. I that's one of the things in the music business. I think at this point in my life, when I see people and I'm in a session, I'm more happy to see them than I am to really do the session. Because
Yeah.
You're like, wow, see, my friends today. It's awesome.
Yeah. Now, from that time, when you first got started in the music industry up until now, looking back at your discography, I'm like, wow. Because I see that you have, one studio album. You also have one live album. You was featured on 10 singles. You have 6 soundtrack albums that you made appearances on, 71 guest vocal appearances, and 273 background vocals. Wow. Now, when I ask this next question, I would like to know, in today's standard, when it comes to the music industry, is that a lot of work right now, or is that just something that, like that was just the standard at that time to put out so much music?
I think that probably right now the standard as a background singer is different because the music is different. The artists that we work for are different now. For background singers, I think a lot of singers now are doing a lot of road touring and singing with people, behind people, as opposed to in our time we had such an array of talent in the jazz genre and R&B. I did everything, not just soul music, but jazz and pop, classical, like with Yanni. We had more of a variety of people who, really valued what we brought to, their vision and their project. I don't think it's like that anymore. I think people are more self-contained. And if I'm honest, I don't think music is as quality now as it was then.
That right there, I have to truly agree with you.
I said it.
Yeah, I have to truly agree with you.
Which is one of the reasons why I wanted to do my project now, because I miss turning on the radio and hearing real music, real songs, real soul, R&B music. So,
Now, after having so much, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I was just saying, I felt like, I had to take some responsibility in that and put out some music.
And we appreciate that because, like you said, like when we listen to today's music, and it's not no knock on anybody, because I understand that, things, I should say, evolve. I don't want to say really progress, because people have their, opinions when it comes to the word progression in the music industry, and very understandable, because, a lot of us think that some of the music isn't that good, and some of us think that the music today is great. I kind of find myself in between, but when it comes down to it, you're right. A lot of the music out here today lacks substance. It doesn't really have a lot of, I don't know, it just seems rushed, and just like everybody's trying to follow, what they feel as though is working right now, the trends. And having, being that you have so much experience from time back then when people was really different with the music industry up until now, what comparisons do you see that is similar to the two?
Well, I think that eventually everything does a 360. And I see some artists out now, like Bruno Mars, that are actually going back and capturing the essence of the sound of the 70s and 80s and 90s. Because what else do they have to pull from? We had Stevie Wonder, Earth, Wind and Fire. We had the doo-wop groups. We had so much to pull from, And I think that they're starting to realize how valuable that music was, and I think they're starting to incorporate that into their sounds. I heard that Beyonce even has like a Isley Brothers and tune on her latest a record and stuff. So I think that they're aware and they're starting to pull from, and we want them to. We want them to take from us, because that is what it is. That's what that circle of life and creativity is about.
Mm-hmm. Now, let me ask you, being that now you're making the transition from, being a backup singer to pursuing your own solo career, would you find this tool, your preparation for it, would you find it different in your approach, or is it sort of the same? It's just now everything is more so with you in the forefront and more so, going about pursuing your own career solo?
Well, being that it's going through my own record company and this is my first solo project, it is nothing like the preparation that I've needed in the past. This is a whole new ball game for me. And because it's a different world with social media and being able to be an independent artist and really get your music out there and having so much artistic control and otherwise, I've had to learn every aspect of the business. And so it's very, it's a lot. It's a lot of responsibility. Mm-hmm. But I love it. I'm enjoying it.
Now, is there very much of a difference from, how the way the music business, I'm saying business now because, a lot of people fail to realize that the music industry and the music business is two separate things. So, like, has the business in the music industry changed any much since, back in those times up until now, or is it pretty much the same practices?
I think it's pretty much the same practices, business-wise. From what I see and what I hear, these 360 deals, I don't know. I think it's gotten a bit worse, actually.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I encourage people who can go independent to go independent. Mm-hmm. Most of just to own your copyrights, to own your composition, own your catalog. And to not have to be subject to somebody in an executive position who may not be musically, artistically aware enough to know what it is that you're about, unless they have someone to compare you to. To be able to do that yourself and allow the people, the listeners, to decide. I think that's very powerful, and I think it's really needed.
Absolutely.
Maybe then they'll start, offering better deals,
Yeah, because, a lot of people, the main thing they think about right now is when it comes to, like, record deals, a lot of people, it's still fresh in their mind, the situation with Summer Walker, being that, her contract situation where they're making all this money off of her, but therefore she's not making a lot of money. And, a lot of people now are starting to become aware of these situations that is happening now with these younger artists getting signed into these deals, and then they pretty much are getting screwed over when it comes down to it. So, like, I like it when I see a lot of these artists that I like to go the independent route. But then again, I understand why a lot of people do still want to get that distribution behind them.
Absolutely. I understand that too. And just as you were talking about this young lady, in my era, it was Tina Marie who was singing, producing, writing, playing all these instruments, and was on salary. I mean, you just can't understand. You can't wrap your head around that. What is that about? But she was young, and in order to be heard, you had to sign record deals.
Now, let me ask you, has the way artists getting paid, like, how does that work in the music industry? Because, a lot of people think it's just like, go there, it's like a job, and then you get paid a paycheck for, like saying, like, if you're doing hourly work. Does it work like that, or do you get paid off of, I would say, like, commission, like whatever the songs that you are involved in, the projects that you are involved in, depending on the sales, determines how much you get paid. Is that true?
If you're doing a recording session for an artist, a major artist, it usually is a union job. So if you're part of AFTRA or STAG, if it's a movie or a commercial, you would then be subject to getting paid through the unions and thus their union rates. When you're on tour, it's really a negotiated price. It's very different.
See, that right there, I never knew how, it actually works as far as artists getting paid within the music industry. Because I just thought that it was basically one of those things where they just get paid off of, how well their record does. I didn't know that there was, so much, when it comes to it, like leaps and bounds that, artists have to go through in order to get paid.
No, there are, like when you do a movie like Lion King or something like that, you get residuals, every time the movie is played or a TV show is played or commercial is played, but you also get paid, retroactively on the day you did your performance. But for years to come, as long as that work is on the radio or on television, you get paid every time it's played or aired.
Okay, that makes sense. The royalties and all that. Okay, I can understand that now. And, as we had mentioned earlier at the beginning of the show, October 14th, you released your single, which is out right now, Cannot Come Over, which is off of your newest album that you'll be releasing in 2023 called Lynn Davis From the Vault. Now, with that being said, how has the response been for you with Cannot Come Over?
Oh, it's been so great. I'm so happy. I'm getting so many different, so much feedback. People are so happy to hear, adult, old school, soul music, love, romantic sounds and stuff, the Luther Vandross, those kind of crooners and songs. We miss that. Saying that, I wasn't the only one that missed that. There's a lot of people that are just commenting on it, and it is so reaffirming because they have felt the same void that I did. And I'm just very, very blessed, and I'm so full of gratitude. It's being very well received.
That's good, because I was listening to it last night on repeat for a good 20 to 30 minutes. And the only thing I'm sorry?
I said, oh, wow, thank you.
You're absolutely welcome. And I was listening to it for about, 20 to 30 minutes on repeat. And one thing that just kept coming out to me, not only just the feel, because a lot of that music, I grew up on listening to. I may not have known the name of the artist or the song or whatever, but a lot of the music that I grew up, it reflects in the same song or whatever the case may be. And just listening to it, not only did I notice that, I also noticed the range in your voice. You have so much range with your voice and everything. So it's just it was really a breath of fresh air to listen to that kind of music, because now you listen to a lot of the, where it's supposed to be love songs nowadays, it's over sexualized. And I'm it's okay for those who enjoy that, but some songs I like to listen to music that have a message, such as, really loving somebody,
Oh, gosh, I agree. I so agree. You just spoke my heart. You really did. You really, really did. It's where's the love, So I'll say this from the vault. We have so much more to come, and we're bringing it back. We're going to do it, and make it happen, that people will have more of the same to listen to.
Now, with From the Vault coming out in 2023, do you have a release date in mind for it, or is this just one of those things when you feel like it's ready, that's when you're going to put it out? But you just know that for sure that it's going to come out in 2023.
Yes, we know for sure it will be out at the early part of 2023. I don't have a solid date yet, but it'll be out by summer.
Okay. Now, with, artists of your pedigree, now when they pick out release dates, and this is something I've always been curious about, but I never really asked the question, is there some kind of significance that goes about it when, an artist that has worked in the industry and has so much experience, is there a significance when they pick release dates, or they just, pick it, because it's, I should say personal to the artist?
EMillio, I'm really learning the same the question applies for me too. I'm learning a lot as a solo artist now that I didn't know, why it's important to release at certain times. And so I think there is some information in regards to that that's important. But for me, I really have just been going with God's flow. When I feel like He's saying, okay, it's time, it's just been working. So we're finishing up, a few of the songs and just projecting and telling you what my projection is. I think it's going to happen before summer. But I'm also open to my PR people and other people that I go to for advice, to advise me. And like we had a Christmas song that I was going to put out, and I just thought it was a little bit too soon, right after Can I Come Over? So we're just going to release the book. I'm sorry I didn't mention that earlier, but that's what's next. A book that I wrote is kind of like a testimonial, it's more of a testimonial than a memoir of the business. So that's what's coming next, and the top of the next year will come out with Lynn Davis from the Law. But yeah, there are significant times for people that want to be to get their music in for Grammy consideration. There's certain times of the year where the record business starts to shut down around the holidays. Not maybe a good time to release, new stuff. But that's all that I know. I'm learning too.
Okay. That's one thing. Is one of the good things about the music industry and the business together is that there's so much to learn that you can't just sit there and say that you know everything, because you always are going to find out something new one way or another.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Now, you mentioned your book, and for those of you out there that is listening right now, the book is called Above Circumstances. Now, with that, is it possible you can give us like a little bit of an insight? I heard you say that it's not, it's like a memoir, but it's not technically a memoir. It's more like a testimonial. Like, what can readers, expect when they go to open your book for the first time?
They can expect to receive information about real life situations and circumstances surrounding those situations, and how, as a woman in the business, and a principled woman, a Christian woman, an uncompromising person, can conduct themselves. I learned a lot going through at such a young age. I think that anyone that's aspiring to be in the music business will enjoy this read, because it can also be, in some instances, things that I talk about, a cautionary tale, and conduct yourself and what to look for and what to be careful of, and respond in certain situations as it relates to your career. And I think it came from a place of me really wanting to share the things that were challenges to me, that were hurtful to me, that were but it was all a growth thing for me. And I'm hoping that they'll get those messages when they read it.
Sounds very interesting, and it sounds like one I'm going to want to read as well. So for those out there who would like to get it when it's available, how can we do that? We have to go to Amazon, or we can just go to your website to get it? How can we get our hands on it?
You can go to my website, www.lindavismusic.com, and it's going to be an ebook, and it'll be available there. And I'm sure there'll be other platforms, but that information will be on my website.
Cool. And I always like to ask artists, especially because on this platform we tend to get a lot of up and coming artists, but being that you're somebody that's we consider you a vet when it comes down to it, because you have so much more experience than a lot of us right now that's even in this space. When it comes down to it, you have done a lot already throughout your career, as far as like touring and working with some of the best in the industry. What's next for Lynn Davis? Like, what do you hope to accomplish when you're ready to hang it up?
When I'm ready to hang it up?
Yes.
I would have hoped to accomplish honoring all of my gifts, not just my gift of voice, but of songwriting, book writing, producing, mentoring. As long as I've honored everything that God gave me, I'll be happy. I think that what I've done has brought me to a place of purpose, and the purpose in it is to also share, my spirituality, what I believe in, and how it aided me through being in this business for over 40 years. And I think that's important. I think that we can get so caught up in, I'm not at a place of doing what I'm doing now because I'm trying to be a star or popularity or money. It's about honoring my gift and sharing it. I think that that's my responsibility. God doesn't give you gifts and you don't do anything with them, or you compromise yourself or you sell your soul, or you dishonor yourself in trying to be whatever, this culture will push you to be. I think, it's about honoring God and honoring yourself and honoring your gift. And I've done that. So I'm good right now. And I'm sure that I'll even be better before I leave here, because I'll have more time to do more stuff.
Absolutely. And we just want to say, thank you so much for taking the time out to come onto this platform. Like I said, it is an honor to have, a guest such as yourself with your pedigree, your experience, and, just knowing so many people that you have worked with that we grew up listening to. I feel very privileged to have had this conversation with you. And I hope we'll get to have another conversation with you coming up in the near future.
I hope so too. You asked so many wonderful questions, very important questions for the listeners and the young people aspiring to be in the business. So this was a great interview. I had a great time, and thank you for having me.
You're absolutely welcome, and thank you. And for everybody else out there that's tuned in and listening right now, I want you to keep it locked, because coming up next, we are going to premiere the brand new single by Miss Lynn Davis called Can I Come Over? Up next here on the show, folks. So keep it locked and stay tuned. It's your boy EMillio EgBar. I will be back with much more right after this.
Hey baby, I just thought I'd call, see how you doing, so glad you're home. It's so good to hear your voice. Are you busy or on the phone? I know you're wondering what's on my mind, but I try to forget you 1,000 times, but I can't let you go. So I got to know, can I come over, baby? I'll just stay a while. See you smile. Can I come over, baby? I won't stay too long. I can't do this on the phone. I promise you not to lose control. If I offer you my heart and soul, can I come over? Wait just a minute before you make up your mind. I just need a little time. You need to know